Welcome to Positive Economics. So today we're going to chapter 3, Economic, Social, and Environmental Sustainability. And that takes us to what we call Sustainable Development Goals. Introduction. In September 2015, 193 countries came together and agreed to tackle world inequality, poverty, climate, and justice. They planned a Sustainable Development Agenda and created 17 goals. These goals are known as Sustainable Development Goals. These goals cover many areas of our lives, including renewable energy, climate action, and gender equality. So, when we talk about sustainability simply means whatever we do right now that we can continuously do towards over the future. It's infinite. So, for SDG, based on what I just read, SDG is for Sustainable Development Goals. It is an agenda that was created by the United Nations. They come together with countries and they believe we need to end poverty. They believe we need to, to end inequality. They believe there's need for justice, there's need for health, and there's need for prosperity. So let's go down and say, so these are all the 17 goals of sustainable development. We have no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industrial innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, that means sea life, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnership for the goals. So these are all SDGs. So what do we mean by sustainable? If something is sustainable, it means it can be upheld or defended. It means that we can keep something at a certain level. It is the ability to continue a defined behavior indefinitely. So we call it sustainable because we are able to continue doing it over and over. That is what sustainable, that means we can continue to do it even in the future. That is what sustainable is all about. So sustainable development means development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So there's sustainable development, which simply means whatever we consume right now is not going to affect the future generation after us. That is sustainable development. Working now for a safe and stable future for people and our planet. Sustainable development also means our action right now, which will enable those in the future to have a safe environment. That's also sustainable development. Sustainable development also means considering economic, social, and environmental conditions. So we put into consideration economic factors, social factors, environmental factors. If we do this, it's still sustainable development. So these three concepts are interconnected and involve groups and people in society. Governments can work towards sustainability, but so can businesses, society, and individuals. Countries are expected to take responsibility for their actions and establish a template for achieving the 17 goals. There is not any legal obligation for countries to pursue a sustainable development program, but other governments, society, and the media all exert significant influence. Some countries have created their own national mechanisms for sustainability, which allows progress to be measured. These results are then reported to annual meeting of the high-level political forum on sustainable development, which monitors progress towards the SDGs at the global level. No country is obliged to go through to follow up with the 17 goals. But some countries, they try to make sure that, because whatever we talk about here, it's simply for a better future. So some countries are trying to pursue sustainable development programs. And at the end of it, they use it in measuring the performance of their economy. What are the main challenges in achieving the SDGs? The first the first issue when it comes to achieving sustainable development goals is one, international instability. The Great Recession, political upheaval in various parts of the world, and the growing problems caused by climate change have all brought instability and insecurity into our lives. Furthermore, in developing countries, the effect of poverty, hunger, poor access to education, and healthcare are felt most acutely. So the first challenge about achieving sustainable development goal is international instability. Instability in terms of poverty, instability in terms of war, instability in terms of poor access to education, instability in terms of healthcare, instability in terms of hunger. All these factors makes it difficult to have stability internationally. And it's also depriving us of achieving sustainable development goals. Two, implementing the goals. When we talk about implementing the goals, we're talking about executing the goals. Converting the development aims and goals into relevant programs is also challenging. Countries and communities need to raise finance and then measure the return on investment using the cost-benefit analysis. What measurement accurately reflects sustainable development, and how can the government tell if they are successful? Is an increase in the amount of household wealth sufficient to determine whether there has been an improvement in quality of life? Should government use other measures? Implementing the goals, sometimes it's difficult to measure the return on investment. So mostly for whatever decisions government make, they use what we call cost-benefit analysis. But it is difficult to determine if the level of income or the level of wealth in a nation or in a country, if it has increased, and how has it impacted on the life of the people. It is difficult to know because there's still what we call wealth inequality or income inequality. So that makes it difficult to achieve sustainable development goals. Coordination of governance between nation states. Good governance is the way in which power is used positively in the organization of the country's economic and social resources for development. Two issues are important here. Is there a unified approach from all parts of society to introduce sustainable long-term practices? How do countries coordinate with each other in implementing the SDGs? So coordination of governance, that's how each government organize and puts things in order to achieve sustainable development goals. It is important to have a unified system, because with a unified system, it means everyone is going towards the same aim and objective. But it is difficult because different governments have their own objectives, and as a result of that, they might not be unified when it comes to sustainable development practices. And how do they coordinate with each other? Even countries, they might not implement sustainable development programs the same way. And that makes sustainable development goals to be unattainable. Because if countries are not together, if they are not on the same page, they have different objectives. And because they have different objectives, that brings about conflict of objectives. And if there's conflict of objectives between countries, it means they might not be able to achieve what we call sustainable development goal. And remember that sustainable development goal is interdependent. It needs the involvement of everybody for it to be achievable. Then that takes us to the three pillars of sustainability. We have the social, environmental, and economic sustainability. So we're going to start with, let me read it anyway. The SDGs are an important political compass and have a timeline to 2030. They followed on from the Millennium Development Goals and are an important framework for working together to tackle these global challenges to improve the lives of people all over the world. All of the SDGs can be subsumed under what are often referred to as the three pillars of sustainability, which are social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and economic sustainability. Together, they define complete sustainability. If any of one pillar is weak, then the entire system is unsustainable. If all three pillars are robust, then people will experience a quality of life that encompasses a strong level of social fulfillment, a clean, healthy environment, and satisfactory economic well-being. So the three pillars are the pillars that hold sustainability. If one is not strong, if one is weak, the rest are weak, because if one goes up, the rest will go down. So that's why we need social sustainability, environmental sustainability, economic sustainability to achieve sustainability itself. So we're going to start with social sustainability. For social sustainability, it is the ability of a social system, such as family, business, or nation, to operate indefinitely at a defined level of social well-being and harmony. And when we talk about social sustainability, it simply means family, businesses, they are able to operate in a way that it will last forever. Social sustainability communities are equitable, diverse, democratic, and provide a good quality of life. This concept also incorporates things such as human rights, environmental law, and public participation. With social sustainability, it means the society becomes, there's equality in the society, there's egalitarianism in the society is diverse, the society has good quality of life, the society is democratic, which simply means there's always a space for everybody to participate. That is what social sustainability is about. Difficulties such as poverty, injustice, and poor levels of basic education are symptoms of a system that is socially unsustainable. I want to talk about social unsustainability. There's social unsustainability if the society is wallowing in poverty, if the society lacks basic education, if the society lacks injustice, if the society lacks justice. These are all unsustainability in the society. And this allows the next generation of countries, communities to. So achieving social sustainability allows the next generation countries or community to enjoy the same or better quality of life as the current generation experiences. So there's social sustainability if the future generation are able to enjoy equality, they are able to enjoy basic education, they are able to enjoy good quality of life, they are able to enjoy democracy, same as the present day people. So if in the future there's sustainability regarding equality, there's sustainability regarding democracy, there's sustainability regarding education, basic education, and there's sustainability regarding justice. It means there is social sustainability. Then that takes us to environmental sustainability. For environmental sustainability, we're talking about the environment. In a sustainable environment, the system will be able to maintain populations, biodiversity, and overall functioning over an extended period. So we call it environmental sustainability because we are able to maintain our population. We are able to ensure that the environment is more of green, is less polluted, and we are able to ensure that everything within the environment functions for as long as possible. So what are the main functions of the environment? They are one, they provide resources. The environment enables services and goods to be produced. With resources, we are able to produce goods and services, and this is done through the environment. Provide amenities. The environment offers experiences to enjoy beautiful views, hill walks, lakes to fishing. So with the environment, we are able to provide amenities such as beautiful environment, beautiful views, lakes, landscape, nice landscape, and the rest. With the environment, we're able to absorb waste. The environment is used to absorb waste produced by humans. Example, trees convert carbon dioxide to oxygen. So the environment also absorbs waste, which is being, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste which is like an oxygen for the trees. So that is how the environment absorbs waste. According to economists, Amandani, environmental sustainability is the ability of the environment system to support a defined level of behavior indefinitely. So there's environmental sustainability if the environment is able to adopt a sustainable development, is able to adopt a level of behavior that's going to go for as long as possible. So it's suggested for renewable resources, the rate of harvest should not exceed the rate of regeneration. So that means we call it sustainable yield. So what are those things that we have to do to maintain environmental sustainability? Our renewable resources must not exceed the rate of our harvest, must not exceed the rate of our regeneration. How we build them again. Whatever we harvest, whatever we take, must not exceed whatever we're going to get in the future. For pollution, the rate of waste generation should not exceed the capacity of the environment. Our waste disposal must be sustainable. We must not put out waste that is more than what the environment or our society can contain. 3, for non-renewable resources, their depletion should require equal development of renewable substitutes for that resources. This means living within the means of our natural resources, in essence, consuming materials, water, energy, fuels, land, etc. at a sustainable rate. For non-renewable resources, we must make sure that find substitutes, because if we don't find substitutes, they will be depleted. So these are the ways we can maintain our environmental sustainability. So resource depletion. Resource depletion is the reduction of available natural resources. The depletion of resources occur when non-renewable resources, example given gas, oil, coal, are used and cannot be replaced. There's resource depletion when the used natural resources cannot be replaced. That is what resource depletion is about. Then we have resource degradation. For resource degradation, it occurs when the natural resources become less productive over time. There's resource degradation when the resources we have, the natural resources, becomes non-functional over a period of time. They are not as active as they used to be. That is degradation. For example, if a river that is used for fishing becomes polluted, fish may produce less and die, causing the river to be less productive. Resource degradation can also be caused by intensive use, such as farming. For example, the land lacks, if the land, because of continuous usage, the land lacks nutrients and it cannot germinate plants anymore. That is resource degradation. And a pollution that has caused the life of fishes, the life of fish to stop, that cause fish to stop reproducing. It's also resource degradation. So both depletion and degradation will limit sustainable development. But if resources are used sustainably, then economic development can continue. So one of the factors that another factors that bring about unsustainable development are resource depletion and resource degradation. Both of them bring about unsustainable development. Then the last one is economic sustainability. When we talk about economic sustainability, it is the ability of an economy to support a defined level of economic activity indefinitely. So whatever economic activity we do, increasing our output, giving jobs, increasing the wealth of people, we must be able to continue this for as long as possible. So for most countries, their top economic priority is to increase the GDP. In essence, to increase the total amount of goods and services produced in an economy, usually within 1 year. Does this define economic sustainability adequately? If we expand this measure further to include an increase in average GDP per capita, and when we talk about GDP per capita, we're talking about GDP divided by the total population. So which allows for all people to experience growth in their own personal economy. It is likely to be a better measure. This level of income could vary. It could be as low as 1.25 per day in poor countries and up to $30 per day in the US. It is difficult to determine the ideal measure. So for economic sustainability, mostly different countries think about increasing their GDP. And when they are increasing their GDP, they try to increase the GDP per capita, because when we are able to increase the GDP per capita, it reflects in the daily life of individuals in the economy. And if it reflects in the daily life of individuals within the economy, it is called, and if it reflects and it is, it is sustainable, it can last indefinitely, it means there's economic sustainability. So economic sustainability requires a country or firm to use its resources efficiently and responsibly in a sustainable manner to produce a profit. So without the profit, why is it important to produce profit? Without a profit, a company cannot sustain its activity into the future. If a business is not making profit, it is difficult for the business to be able to continue running in the future, because without profit, a business cannot it cannot expand or increase its scale of operation. Without acting responsibly and using its resources efficiently, a company will not be able to sustain its profit in the long term. And also, without acting responsibly or using resources efficiently, it will be difficult for a company or firm to be able to continue or to sustain its profits in the long run. So that is sustainable development, which is, we have three sustainable development. We have economic sustainability, we have social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. These three are the main source of sustainability within the economy. And whenever we talk about sustainability, we're simply talking about sustainable development goals. And to achieve sustainable development goals, we need economic sustainability, we need social sustainability, we need environmental sustainability. For economic sustainability, we're talking about increasing our GDP, and also increasing our GDP per capita. And for us to increase our GDP per capita, we need to act responsibly as firms, we need to act responsibly as a nation. Acting responsibly as a nation and as a firm means we are able to make profit and we're able to use our resources efficiently. If we're able to do that, then we're able to have economic sustainability. For environmental sustainability, we have to think about ensuring that the environment, we are able to act in a way that brings about responsible environmental situation. There's no pollution. We are able to use our resources efficiently. We are able to avoid resource degradation. We are able to avoid resource depletion for environmental sustainability. And for social sustainability, we're talking about the family, we're talking about our household, we're talking about the society itself. We are able to, we ensure that our wealth, we ensure that democracy, we ensure that the society can sustain a long-term plan when it comes to future generations. So whatever we enjoy now, the future generations are able to enjoy it. That is what Sustainable Development Goal is all about. So for Sustainable Development Goal, in a nutshell, it means we want to eradicate poverty, we want to stop inequality, we want to ensure that there's justice, we want to ensure that people have access to basic education and healthcare. So in the next class, we're going to talk about, we can also talk about, I think we can continue talking, we can talk about how the three pillars of sustainability are connected. Before we go, yes. So the last note here today is about how the three pillars of sustainability are connected. We know that we are dependent on health resources, water, oxygen, etc. For our survival, however, we may not fully appreciate the interdependence between the economy and the earth as we strive for ever increasing economic growth. There are limits to the earth's economic resources and thus to any economic growth that is dependent on them. So how can we meet our needs while also ensuring that future generations will be able to meet their needs too? So that takes us to the interrelationship. We have education, for the social, we have education, quality of life, community, equal opportunity. For economic, we have economic growth, research and development, the cost of living, energy efficiency, and carbon credits. Then we have for the environment, we have environmental protection and habitat restoration. The connectivity between them is sustainability, environmental law, public involvement, energy efficiency, carbon credits, peer taxation, and workers' rights. So it simply means that both social sustainability needs economic sustainability. Economic sustainability also needs environmental sustainability. Without the three, we cannot achieve sustainability. So, okay. So the author suggested that any change in one will disturb the other two. So for example, economic growth requires the use of non-renewable resources, natural resources, and produces harmful emissions, which will affect our social well-being and the environment. In the short term, there are many benefits of economic growth. Businesses grow, profit increases, countries prosper, more people find work, and quality of life improves. Technology has enabled us to benefit from rapid communications, global travel, and improved efficiencies. So as consumers, we demand more and more. To grow, the economy feeds on natural resources, emits waste that pollutes the air, and threatens the climate that life relies on. Our unlimited use of natural resources such as oil and gas that allow economic growth also depletes energy from the earth. So this in turn undermines the foundation that economic growth is built on. How do we address this paradox between economic growth and sustainability? So before we go into how to address it, so there's no way we want to achieve environmental sustainability without it affecting economic sustainability. There's no way we want to achieve social sustainability without affecting economic sustainability. That is the point here. So there's always going to be an opportunity cost. So how do we address this? Search for ways to build heating and air conditioning systems that use renewable resources. Example, sun, wind, and water. So instead of using energy that's going to cause carbon emission, we should find a substitute that are renewable, which are sun, wind, and water. Invent technology that minimizes air pollution. Instead of using equipment that causes pollution, we should find technology should invent equipment that will minimize pollution. We should use sustainable materials for packaging. That means biodegradable and organic materials. So these ones will reduce carbon emission. We should recycle more. By recycling, it means we will reduce the use of natural resources. Invest heavily in alternative energy development, such as solar power and wind turbines. We should also invest in substitutes for energy development, such as solar power and wind turbines. So these are the ways in which we can achieve sustainable development without affecting any of the pillars of sustainability. So in the next class, we're going to talk about the indicators of economic growth, social cohesion, and inequality and environmental sustainability. Thank you.